next we're going to talk about GP 2016, 2016 R2, and then the future, what's coming in 2018 that'll ship in December of this calendar year. How many of you are interested in web client? Okay, so a few of you. For those of you who did not raise your hand, if you have a lot of casual users, they're not power users, they log in once a week or every once in a while, you might want to look at web client because they don't have it, you don't have anything installed on your local machine. So when you're thinking upgrades and service packs and maintenance, you don't have to install anything there. If you have Citrix or terminal server deployments, so you can reduce your amount of hardware, reduce your dependency on, because you can fit more on a web service box, like an IIS box, than you can fit on a Citrix or a terminal service box. So you can fit more users per machine, and you can reuse that hardware. So that would be another reason why, if you didn't raise your hand, you might want to. And then the third would be if, do any of you have a lot of company databases? Yep. So if you have a lot, we created multi-tenancy inside of GP. We did it for web client, but you can also utilize that so you can group your databases by tenant. So when you're upgrading, you don't have to upgrade all your companies at one time. You can do it by group. Or if you have some companies that have payroll and some companies that don't, you can put all your payroll companies in one tenant. So when you're thinking about tax updates, you only have to do it to the payroll companies, and you can leave the other ones alone. So it kind of just gives you a lot more flexibility. If you're in that scenario, talk to DFC because they'll want to do an assessment to see what's best for you because there are some technical factors around it. But it is something to think about. The web client, I'll just give you, since quite a few of you raised your hand with interest on it, I'll just give you kind of a tour. This is the web client for GP, the HTML GP 2016 web client. One of my favorite things is the search button. So I'm sure all of you, it happens to me all the time, so I know it happens to you. You know that there's a window that exists, but you're not sure how to get to it. And you click around and you're like, I know it's here somewhere. We created it, it's only in the web client. I've asked them to put it in 2018 in the desktop client. Not on the list yet, so we'll see if we can get it there. But what the search does is, I typed in CUSP. Any window, even including ISV products that have, like in this case, customer, will show in that results below. Any window I currently have open will show in that middle window as well. So that's one of my favorite features. The reason why we have it is because back to the iPad and working across platforms, the web client, which is why probably most of you who are power users won't like the web client, is it doesn't have a multi-window interface. So you know how most people, you log into GP, you open your 3-4 windows that you use every day, and then you just toggle between them. You can't toggle like that. You can't see a window behind it and click on it. And the reason why is because the iPad doesn't have that type of concept like Windows does. So if you want to run on an iPad, this is our sacrifice, which I've asked development to work around it. This is their workaround, is any window that shows up, you click search, and then it would list those windows. Yes?
Are there any updates on the horizon to allow the windows to move independently on the screen?
Maybe. That's on the list. I've asked my development team to do like a UI refresh for web client and kind of how that stuff works. Right now it's kind of a no, but we'll talk about that when we get to the roadmap of what that means. But anyway, so back to the web client. What we've also done is we've streamlined kind of the navigation so you can get more real estate. So the windows automatically size. So if you have a big screen, I'm sure you've all done it. You open a smart list and you have a big monitor. The smart lists don't. You just wish it would just take up the whole screen, and it doesn't. It will on the web client because it has resize rendering, and you're also able to squish things like this. So then I can still have my navigation, and I can get to things where I want to, but then I don't have to have that fixed left-hand side that wastes the space. Okay, so let's move on because we have a ton more content to talk about, and I'm sure you all already realize that I could probably talk about GP all day long, and we only have about 25 minutes. Okay, so next I'm going to talk through 2016 and 2016 R2. This deck you guys will get, and so I have put the release numbers on it. So if you haven't upgraded to R2 yet, then at least you'll know what's coming. Here are the system features. We already talked about the HTML client. Again, Carol mentioned it earlier, but if you are in 2015 and you're looking at wanting to do web client, we have a Silverlight client on 2015. The underlying IT deployment is exactly the same. So you could still deploy it. IT could do all the things they need to do on 2015. And then when you upgrade, then you just get the new HTML client. The HTML client is much more streamlined. We've added a lot of UI work onto it. So I probably recommend deploying that to your users because it's just easier to work with. It has a lot more shortcut keys and things like that that we've worked through. But from an IT perspective, they could kind of deploy it and get all that stuff worked out ahead of time. So when you're thinking about upgrading, it'll be more straight away. A few things I want to call out. Are any of you using Business Portal or were using Business Portal? Great, then we don't have to have that conversation. A few features that we've added, a couple things that we're working on are things where workflow is one of them. We're calling it a big rock that we're breaking it up into small pieces. So workflow we started in GP 2013 R2, and every single release that we've had since then adds a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So rather than taking a strategy of building out a big workflow and taking a couple of years, we said we'll build a small one, and then we'll get advice from connect.microsoft.com and find out why customers can't use it. Like, I couldn't go to workflow because of this, and then we're adding it. So our strategy is much, much more agile than it used to be. So a few of the things we added in 2016 around workflow, so if you looked at it in 2015 and it didn't have enough functionality, we added core functionality in 2016 and in R2. 2018, we're adding a new workflow, so a brand net new one. So a couple of things we added was around condition management. So let's say I'm an approver. I don't approve something in a certain time frame, a day or hours or however your business works. What should happen? Do you tell my manager and say, Pam's not doing her job? Does it delegate to a peer of mine? Does it get sent back to the initial person that send it to the workflow? Or what do you want it to do? Or do you want it just to send a report to say, hey, you forgot to do it? So there's just things like that to make it a little bit easier. Or let's say I had an emergency and I'm out of the office. Then someone else can go in and then just redelegate all my approvals that I would need to do. Workflow you can approve from outside of GP. So they do not have to be a GP user in order to approve workflows. We also have added, on approvals, we added Word documents on the email, so the approver gets an email that says here's something to approve, and then has a Word doc attached with the details. That was one of the reasons people couldn't do it, because they're like, I have an amount, I have an amount and a date, and that's it. I need the details. So now you can put a Word document on the attachment, and it gives you the details, so you don't have to log in. Of course, if you log in, you'd have to be a user, but you could be that bottom self-serve user to do approval. Probably the one that you should all be clapping about is on the top right-hand corner, is export numbers to Excel, formatted as numbers. So if any of you had a problem where you're taking a smart list and you put it to Excel and then it's a number field, but it's not a number field, or it has 5. There's a whole bunch of, I'm not going to get into it, but if you have that scenario, there are some knowledge base articles, because depending on what version, there's a Dex AnySwitch thing you can turn on that fixes it. In 2016, we did change that, so it'll be formatted as a number. R2. This is another one that came from connect.microsoft.com. It's another one that, if you're doing a lot of smart lists, I guarantee you've all ran into it, especially if you have multiple people creating smart lists and they write over each other's, because it was all at the system level. So now we have them password protected, so nobody's going to mess with your smart lists anymore. This came from connect.microsoft.com. What's important about this one is I've been working with GP for over 20 years, but I'm not a power user. I'm not in there every single day. So a lot of things that I'm looking at is Power BI and technology and different things we can do, but I don't know things like this. I don't know that, oh, someone's always writing over my smart list and this is getting really annoying. Or I had another one a couple months ago. I was at an event probably in this room, and I had a customer that came up, this one inquiry window, can you just change the sort? I just need to sort it so that by date. That's a really good idea. Was not on our radar at all because we're not power users and I'm not in there every day. And I don't realize when you have thousands of records and you have to click down, 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 and you just keep going. And then you finally get to what you're looking for. If all I had to do is change the sort and it's just there, it's going to make a huge difference to you, which is something we're doing in 2018. We're adding a whole bunch of sorts to the inquiry windows. So that's why Connect is important, because all those things that may be little to me, like I went to my dev team, he's like, well, you just want that on all the windows? I'm like, yep. Like, super easy for them. But we don't know about them. But so it might be a small feature to us, but it's a huge feature to them. And it drives them crazy, which I think is hilarious. They create all this time and effort on workflow design and researching all this stuff and PowerFlow and all these cool technologies. And then we do presentations like this, and you guys clap for stuff like this. And they're like, they didn't clap for all this cool stuff I invested my soul into, but they clap for this stuff. And I'm like, that's just because sometimes the little things are big. So another one that we added is when you click a lookup button, and let's say an item lookup, and you have thousands of items, and then you can filter. Now you can filter based on a smart list favorite, and then you can have it saved that way. So the next time you look it up, then it's saved last way you searched. So you can do it on includes the lookup windows. I know later you're going to talk about Rockton has a solution that you'll want to hear about if you're not using it as well. Distribution. Here's the features we added. Any of you using Project? Project counting? Okay, so we did do quite a bit in distribution around project time and expense. I did get asked earlier during your break about the all-in-one document viewer, like how to get to the all-in-one document viewer. So in here, let's say in sales, it's under inquiry. So you'll see, so it's under, so sales, purchasing, or inventory, it's under the inquiry box. And then this is what it looks like. So it'll list out, like this case, we're in sales, so quotes, orders, invoices. I can do a search by customer, and then it'll list everything that the customer has. And then if you mark, so you can search on each one of these, like say if you have like a order number or an invoice number, or maybe even just a cash receipt in this case, you can find it. If you find the one that you want and you click on it, then it'll show only the transactions that are related to that. So if you had, in this case, like an order and went to a back order, and then maybe you did partial shipments, so you have multiple invoices, and then it goes into subledger, and then maybe you forgot to apply a cash receipt. So then you don't know, you'll be able to see all that right within this window. Okay, let's go back. The other thing to point out, we did add prepayments to a purchase order. We added that in previous version. We added now where you can have it to the total, where before it could only be the subtotal. So now miscellaneous, tax, and all that can be included. Another MS Connect feature in this inquiry window, the sales tax summary inquiry, it never had the tax percentage. So then we had a lot of people who just had a calculator and they figure out the percent manually. So now it'll show in the window. If you cancel a PO that's linked to a requisition, now it'll give you a warning message to say, are you sure you want to do this? And they can click continue and it'll keep going. But it'll give you a warning message. This is the new requisition, so that we built with inside of GP. So something, if you're using a third-party requisition system, We added quite a bit of functionality. You might be able to move to this one. And it includes requisitions and workflow as well. That's not new in 2016. That came out in 2015. You guys don't use project. Financials. Anyone who imports budget should be clapping right now because we have an exception report. So if you have duplicate account numbers or like account number that doesn't exist, it's going to pull up an exception report for you. And see, this is where you start clapping and stuff. Thank you. See? There you go. The other one I'll point out, because most of these you can just read through and understand yourself, is we did add payables credit card payment. So if you do like a select check, you're going to do a check run, you can actually process the credit card from checks, which was another one of the top bigger features that people asked for. This one is another simple. We have it in multiple windows, but we have that expand and collapse where sometimes it's 2 or more lines or 1. Now what it's going to do is save your settings. So if you always want it open, exit out, go back in, it'll stay open. It is per user, so it's an automatic setting that will just happen throughout multiple windows. We added a credit limit warning, so if any of you have a lot of credit limits, before you would never get the warning until you click save. So you're like, I went through all this work and entered this, and now it'll give you the warning when you tab off the customer. This is a receivable screenshot, but it is also in sales order processing. So if you have a lot of line items, I had a customer who had I think it was 100. Their average line item per order was like 100. And they'd be like, yeah, and I enter 100 of these in, I click save, and then you tell me that they're over their credit limit, or now it'll tell them right away. SafePay, if any of you are using SafePay, we added the check name, which if you are, another clapping moment, because it was a very painful thing before. Fixed assets. Any of you using fixed assets? Okay. We added a lot of functionality in fixed assets in 2015 R2, 2016 R2. So if you have fixed assets, go to GFC and they can tell you all the features we added, or it's posted out on customer source. But I definitely take a look at upgrading because we had that was a focus area for us. And a lot of them is making it easier. This is one of them to include taxes. And then this is the other one that was one of the big ones. There's more, but not everybody uses fixed assets, so I didn't want to include them all in the session today. I think at the last user group event, we did a what's new in fixed assets, like an entire hour session. So that's how much we added to it. But this is one of the ones that was one of the top things for an ease of use. Okay, services. So a lot of you are interested in Power BI. This gets back to the publishing kind of piece. So OData is important if you're going to want to have refreshable Power BI reports out on powerbi.com. So we talked about publishing. You can publish and they can view, but if you want them to be able to refresh, you need to deploy OData. What's cool about OData is OData has GP security behind it. So you set it up in GP, you deploy it in that same place that you deploy the Excel report. But what it does is looks at your GP user and the OData connection. So the OData connection will find out who is this person and do they have access, and then it won't let them refresh. So it does have some security components behind it, but this is what you need to deploy. So we created in 2016, the OData services are there, you can deploy them. The only reason why you need to care is if you want them to refresh. If you just want to publish them, have them static, then you don't need to worry about OData. But we're adding that infrastructure, so from an IT perspective, then IT won't shut you down and say, no, you're not putting anything out on cloud. You're not putting reports out in some online area where now you can do it and say, well, it is secure. And it'll give you that ability for IT to say yes. We did add Power BI on the home page. So, and this kind of relates to the different user types. So what we've designed with the self-service user is the self-service user shouldn't have to navigate GP. So we have like timesheet tabs and we have payroll tabs that are on the home page for them. So they'll have little boxes that say, I want to do timesheet, I want to do approval, I want to view my time card. And then we also have these reports, so you can put those on the home page as well, so then they won't have to navigate. So you're not going to get questions of, how do I get to X, which is why some people don't want people in GP. But that's one of the reasons why we added it, kind of bringing back to, let's put the information in the place where people are already at. Questions? Doing good? Okay, so let's talk about the future. Carol showed this earlier. This is the roadmap. For the last several years, we've had a release every 6 months. So every 6 months, we were doing releases, and we got a lot of feedback that we were moving way too fast. So we have a lot of people, like, I don't think most of you are not in this situation, but we have a lot of people. If you're on 2013, you're going through 6 versions up instead of 1 or 2. So we are slowing down. We're moving to yearly releases. So GP 2018 will come in December. GP 2019, or whatever we end up calling it, will basically be October, November, December of next year. So we're just going to move into that rhythm. It'll be at calendar year end is when we'll do our releases. Our strategy today is at least 50% of the functionality for every release is going to come from the connect.microsoft.com site. So it's going to come from community. It's going to come from existing GP Power users who are in GP every day. The other 50% is going to be things like Power BI and stuff that's cool and new technologies and trying to balance technology with functionality. What we're focused on in 2018, workflow and doc attach are ones that are our big rocks that we're just doing a little bit every single release. So we're going to do that again. Doc attach, if you looked at it in 2013 and you're like, I'd look at it again because we've added quite a bit to it. It will never be a full document management product. What it was meant for is we had people who are document management, like the ISVs are great, but they're really expensive. And we had customers that just say, I just need to attach some stuff. I need to attach a signed work order. I don't need all this extra stuff. So that's what our goal is still stay in that realm. But we're adding things like, we've already added like scanning multiple documents, sending a Word document out as a PDF so it can't be edited, being able to automate which documents you want to email. When you email, let's say, an invoice, they could attach stuff to it. So those are things that we've already added, and we'll do that next phase coming in 2018. The other area we're focused on from a product perspective is financials, so AP, AR, and GL, and HR payroll. So a lot of those MS Connect suggestions, we're trying to focus on those and not necessarily manufacturing projects. Not saying we wouldn't add that, but it's just not an area that we're focused on, is that's where we're going to make our priority. And then optimization is the other big word. Several years ago, I did a research project around how much of GP do people use. Because we keep adding all this functionality, and I keep going to events and asking customers, oh, you upgraded. Great. What are you doing different? Nothing. Just doing the same thing I've always done. I'm like, okay, when was the last time you upgraded and did something new? And they're like, why would I do that? They're on autopilot. And, and I get it, because a lot of it is, why fix something that's not broken? I have a problem. Well, we've added things specifically to fix it, because you could take a person, save 25% of their day, and they could be working on other things that actually run the business rather than doing processes, or even taking IT. Instead of IT trying to just maintain like an Exchange server and other things, outsource that out so they can be focused on bringing in new technologies for the future to run your business. Optimization is one of those things that we worked on, because what we found out is for the modules you currently have and use, so taking out the ones that you're just not even deploy that you use, you only use like 25% of the functionality. And we found out the reason why is sometimes it was, you knew about it, it was just too complicated, too many steps, just didn't have enough bandwidth. Predominant reason that you just didn't know it was there. Like, I didn't know I had it. You added it, and I just didn't know. So one of the things we're working on is optimization, where trying to reduce, so it's not a net new feature, it's just rendering in a different way. Adding it to maybe the front window, reducing the number of clicks to do end-to-end process, making it much more simpler. So we're looking at some of those automation type things that we can put in to make it so it's obvious when you upgrade, like, oh, that's new, this is there. But then also it's like those ones where it's just too hard to do, making it easier. And then the last one I want to touch on was PowerSuite. PowerSuite's out today. It's called PowerFlow Power Apps. It's a new functionality platform from Microsoft. What's cool about it is, I can't show it to you today. We showed it at Summit, the GP user group. Amplify was another customer event we had in California. We showed it there. But what's cool about it is a non-developer experience. So you can create your own little apps if you want to. So the example, and we have several ISVs using it. The example that you guys will resonate with or like is, let's say you get an email from a customer. You can create a little app without a developer in Outlook that when you get an email from the customer and you pull the email up, it pops up a new window and gives you GP information about that customer. Any information you want, you just put it in there. Super simple. My dev girl, I go, this can't be simple. I'm not going to go in front of people and say it's simple because this can't be. And she's like, no, you just drag and drop the fields you want, and it just shows up. Not as simple if you want to write back and you want to say, oh, I want to modify it. You know, let's say a customer says, hey, I remember I ordered a widget from you. I forgot I'm supposed to order 2. To make it where that window pops up and shows the order with the 1 widget, and for you to just change it to 2, it's a little more complicated. But that's what we're working on in 2018 is how do we make that simple, or how do we deploy some of these and build these little apps for you so that you just deploy them is what we're looking at. Back to that example, she showed it. I mean, no developer, literally took her 10 minutes. She had an app. It took her longer to get me to share it with me than it was to create the app itself. And so when you think about that scenario, is even to create that thing and then to be able to click a button and it opens the transaction in GP and then you can modify it from there, it would save you tons and tons of time. Because you guys talk over email all the time now. You don't pick up the phone anymore. Kind of back to that past, my husband picks up the phone. I text him, he calls me back. You know, he also watches, you'll love this. I got him rabbit ears because he likes to have his choices. So yeah, we have, well, they're not rabbit ears anymore, but we have, so he gets the free. He sits, you know, goes through them and he picks a channel. He watches Bonanza, he watches MASH, and all this crap because I'm like, really? And like, he'll walk by it, like the other day I was watching Blind Spot. He's like, what are you watching? I'm like, I'm watching Blind Spot. That was on yesterday, I missed it. Anyway, he's in the past, he's not going to change. But anyway, what we want to do is create things to take that to the future. So when you get a text or you get an email from a customer, you don't have to call them back. You don't have to go into GP and you can kind of see and maybe just fix the problem straight away. PowerSuite, Power Apps and PowerFlow. PowerFlow is the workflow behind it. So let's say you get an email from a customer, you could create an automatic workflow. Let's say a customer says it has a few keywords, you can automatically forward to someone else, knowing that it goes to, oh, they want a service, it's going to go to my service department. You can deploy it today, and you can build your own apps right now. It does not matter what version of GP you are on. You could do it any version. We're going to make it easier for you in the future, but we have customers doing it today, especially if you have your own IT department. It's not a developer experience, but it is probably a power user because you need to know where's the customer info. It's in the RM 00301 or whatever. Anyway, so that's something we're looking for the future, and then you'll see that we have your releases coming in the next. Here's some of the themes that we have for GP 2018. Here's a few of the features. I won't go through these, but you can read through. These are the ones that we know most likely are going to ship. This is not the feature list. My dev team does not like to talk about things that aren't done. And I do. So anyway, you'll get this and you guys can just look through it. But we're out of time, so I just wanted to close back out. I will be here. Oh, yes. Where can people get more information on building the apps? If they just do a search on Microsoft.com for PowerFlow or Power Apps, it'll come up. I have not done a blog post on it. I think when we get closer to GP 2018 is when we'll talk more about it. So anyway, I will be here until 4 o'clock. If you need any help creating your in the now moment of what you're going to do next when you leave, come let me know, or feel free to follow my blog post. But I am going to conclude my time with you today.